Uh, this particular session is all about quanti and qualitative research design, particularly following the proposal, okay, proposal making, both for quanti and quali. Now, the formatting that I actually followed is based on the format that you actually are giving to your students. So, I just followed yung sunod-sunod lang, okay? But when it comes to my presentation, I will be giving the presentation based on my experience on how we start actually coming up with a proposal. Okay, so let's start with the worldview. Okay, naturally, I think since pharma group kayo, naturally you are very much acquainted with quanti approach. Okay, so you are very much acquainted with cause and effect. Okay, so automatically, when you define or identify issues, you can automatically identify on how to measure it. So that's really post-positivist. Now, the quali, on the other hand, is more on the constructivism. So it's going beyond things, kumbaga, understanding that there are times that uh, things cannot be just numbers cannot just simply explain the reality. So there must be something deeper than just the number, kumbaga pa. So you're more concerned on a deeper understanding of events, deeper understanding of the number. Okay, so you are not just concerned with the relationship, but you want to know how come there is a relationship. So that's why you have the constructivism in qualitative approach. Now, I know it's difficult actually to shift from a post-positivist to constructivism. Okay? Mahirap siya actually. But then again, you just have to, you just have to situate yourself, uh, asking yourself particularly na if I cannot measure this particular variable or if numbers cannot really make sense of the situation, what would be other ways or how can I understand it? So that's where you ask now questions of the why. So doon na papasok ang quali approach actually. So you are more on deeper understanding pag constructivism. Pag post-positivist, yes, it's still understanding, but it's not actually that deep because there are things that number when you say hi, well, if you're going to apply it in the context, does not necessarily reflect the actual situation. Okay, so that's a difference between the quanti and the quali perspective. Okay, so in conceptualizing a study, we start with the title, true or false. You can participate using peer deck. In conceptualizing a study, we start with the title. Okay, let me see. Okay, so isa pa lang ang nag-answer. Okay, dalawa na. When we conceptualize a study, we start with the title. Is the true or false? Okay, sige. Okay, so far, 3 answered na you start with the title. May dalawa said na hindi, we do not start with the title. So, how do we start really with conceptualizing a study? We do not start with a title actually. Okay, we don't start with a title. Okay, take note, the title can be changed even after final defense. Okay, so walang forever sa title actually. Okay, so in conceptualization, we start with the topic or the issue for your research. Okay, you start with the issue first. Then once you were able to identify the issue, then think of the social value. Okay, why is a social value important? Because oftentimes we ask ourselves, if we conduct research, is it really for the sake of doing research, or is it really a research that we wanted to somehow share something to the community? Okay, so iba yung you do research because you wanted to contribute something. So when do we know that such topic or such issue really have social value? Then you have to go back to issues in the classroom ba or in the community that you see may problema. And then from there, you try to reflect if such particular issue or topic is really researchable. Okay? So we always base that one on our experience. So sa inyo, usually, you always have to reflect on your experiences while you're conducting the class ba or in your experience during in the industry or in the community. Okay? So social value oftentimes are one of the bases, particularly pagdating sa ethics. Okay? So it's like saying when you do this research, for what reason? Anong magiging outcome nito? May additional information ba na maibigay? Kumbaga pa, will it really contribute to something better ba? Or will it add to additional knowledge? Or for the sake lang na alam mo na yung result, gawin mo pa rin. Take note, although we say na the fact that it's research, you can actually do the same topic, we research it again, but then again, the social value comes in if we add something new. Kasi it's impossible for a same topic, for a same issue, to be the same for a period of time. Naman yun ipagbago kumbaga pa. Okay, so that is why you now have to add something, you now have to include something there. It could be another variable, or it could be digging deeper based on what you've seen that are said to be new or what you've seen before as something that is considered as a gap of the study, kumbaga pa. So, when we start with knowing the social value, when we start with conceptualizing, we start actually with review of related literature. Okay, we we use the topic as our keyword when we try to search for literature. Okay? Usually, I advise my students sa Google Scholar kasi madali kasi sa Google Scholar and madali din maka-cite. Copy-paste lang. Okay? And you can also filter the year. Okay? Especially if we are really much concerned with the year na karaan na kaayo, we do not accept it. So we can easily filter that one. In the Google Scholar kasi when we review literature, at least we know na it's indexed. Excuse me. And then there are really studies that we know na in terms of method wise, you can benchmark on it and can actually follow it. So doing review of literature is very important. Okay, we do not disregard review of literature. Okay, so when we do review of literature, take note, we're just trying to conceptualize the study. Okay, so we are not writing it the RRL. We are just trying to conceptualize the study. So when we do review of literature, that's the part that you will realize na ano na yung naisadihan so far. What has been studied? What has not yet been studied? What is the gap so far? So pag quantica, what are the variables related to this topic? What are the indicators used for this topic? Okay? When you do review of literature, you can also find questionnaire. Okay? So if you can find a questionnaire, better. Okay? Kasi nga, you will not have a hard time really going through the rigors of reliability testing because you have already the existing questionnaire. The more if it's already reliability tested, better siya. So when you do also review of literature in conceptualizing your study, you have to find also the theory that they are using. Okay? Now, and then you have to also look into the method. Now, take note that when it comes to review of literature in conceptualizing the study, these are the things that you have to take, kumbaga pa, mag-identify ka. You can actually do a table for this one. Or usually, ang ginagawa namin so far, ang ginagawa ko when I conceptualize the study, copy-paste muna. Okay, copy-paste muna. Then, always, ang references sa baba. Okay? Then after that, if I was able to get already at most mga 10 studies, after all the copy pasting, I will run through it, basahin ko yan ulit. And then that's the time that I will pick the keywords now. Keywords like what has been studied, anong gap doon sa study na yon, the variables. If there are questionnaires, I set aside that one, ano yung theory, and then the methods. Okay? So once you are done with that, you were able to somehow separate those important things, then you go back na ngayon doon sa new docs ba ninyo where you have separated it, and that's a time that you start reflecting on the study. So doon na mag-start ulit yung reflection nyo on what would be the direction of your study. Okay? So what is the difference between an RRL in quantitative and qualitative study? Actually, when you conceptualize a study for quanti and quali, when you start conceptualizing it, pareho lang siya actually. You only would say na this is quali conceptualization because you are more concerned with experience. You are more not concerned actually with variables or indicators. So ang hinahanap mo actually is the experience for quali. You are not concerned with the variables. Kasi if you are trying to push for a quali proposal and then you look for variables, naturally, you will be directed to quanti. But if you try to look, push for a quali proposal and you look for experiences, you will be directed to quali proposal talaga. So when you search the Google Scholar, you can always type in the keyword experience and then the issue. Okay? So one way or another, you will get a literature na quali na study about the topic. Kasi if you just write in the topic or issue, most of it that will come out actually are quanti. But if you type in the keyword na experience, at least makuha mo, really, you have the quali. Okay? So, again, the best thing to do when you start conceptualizing is review talaga. Okay? If you do not have the patience in doing review of literature, then you will really have difficulty in proposal writing because it's saying na hindi mo talaga alam what you're going to write. Unless you have the literature, one way or another, every time you pick out the keywords, every time you identify the theory and method, automatically, actually, nag-ano ka na eh, you are already starting to write something. Alam mo na yung sunod-sunod. Madali ka lang makagawa ng background of the study mo actually. Okay?